live. Welcome to Extinct, the podcast. I am your host, Ro Sahibi from TheBigfootReport.com. With me, as always, the head honcho, the man in command, that dude you know as Snowwalker Prime from Team Tazer Bigfoot. He is Mr. Michael Merchant. All right.
Hey guys.
If someone is over there playing video games on his screen, having a good time, I think we have the return of the little man with the nipples. Oh, no, Secret Asian Man. There he is. Sean Evidence from the Bigfoot Evidence blog. What is happening?
I was playing some Contra.
And where did he go? Where's that other guy? From sasquatchlives.com. He is Mr. Fantastical, Mr. Damien Bravo. Damien, how are you today?
Hey,
Where did
Damien.
Damien go?
I am doing awesome. Sorry, I don't know what the hell happened to my screen.
Okay, we're losing Damien early. There's lots to talk about. First off, I want to say welcome back, guys. It's we can hear you. All right, we're hang on a second, Damien. We're gonna get to you in just a moment. We are kicking off season 2 of Extinct, the podcast. How you guys feel about that? We made it through an entire first season. Kicking off 2013 with our core right here. We will be back bigger and stronger every episode, I promise, with special guests, new topics, and all kinds of fun stuff. We're going to mix up the podcast a bit from here on out, or try to. So let's get right into it, motherfuckers. I haven't cussed yet, so everything is secret. Right, just like our first topic, the very, very secret Daisy in a box. Now, how do you? What could that mean? What the fuck? How often? How long were we using the term "in the box" and now it's getting coined? It's getting attached to someone else.
Ripped off.
How do you feel about that, guys?
I think it was Michael who started this in the box thing, right? He wanted Bigfoot in the box. Now Team Contra has it in the box. I don't know. What do you think about that, Michael?
I don't think they have anything in a box.
You have Jack in a box?
I don't even think they have a box.
Okay,
I've been told it's a shipping container that somehow they, weighing tons that they stuck out in the forest somewheres and cut in half.
Right.
I mean, they could. I would like to see that trap.
Well,
apparently
an awesome trap, the intention was to helicopter it out once it closed up. Was that what they were saying? I don't know. It's changed a couple of times. Hey, Damien, you need to turn off your screen share button, buddy. You have to hit that button over there on the left that says screen share and turn that off. Oh, or you can just disappear altogether. Well, Damien, as usual, is having bandwidth and tech problems. We one day will have enough money and enough sponsorship that we can just have a tech guy sitting by Damien at all times, and maybe he can like get his computer running and show him how to use spell check too. So. All right, let's get back to this container. Michael, they said that it wasn't a traditional clamshell box. Did you read the updated post regarding this this shipping container trap? Could you make heads or tails of that? Does that sound like something that could work theoretically?
Oh, I suppose. Whatever. But a shipping container is pretty heavy. You'd have to have some really rugged springs or hydraulics or counterbalances. Sure, you could make it work, but you probably would need a helicopter to fly it in, or a flatbed trailer or something. You got a lot of weight there, right?
I
have no idea what a cargo. Somebody else might know what a cargo container weighs, but they're pretty good size. I think they're made out of steel. You'd have to cut it in half, and then you'd have to have some kind of arrangement for it to trigger and close, and you'd have to hide it so that Sasquatch wouldn't know it was there,
And that's the real kicker. The reason we haven't seen this beast is because of how intelligent it is. And it sounds a little rudimentary for something that's supposed to be so stealthy and intelligent. Then again, this is just speculation, In fact, this whole thing is speculation to some degree. What's coming down the pipe from Bigfoot Evidence? You are the inside source for all the information, Sean, and people people leak things to you. What is the overall feel from the community about Daisy?
Well, I think most people don't believe it, but was it like a week ago? I was thinking, is -1% chance this is even remotely possible. But I've seen some email exchanges between some really prominent Bigfoot researchers out there, and they were like talking about some DNA stuff, and all of a sudden they get this thread. Somebody got added onto this thread, this email thread, and in this email thread, they started talking about Daisy. I was like, "What the f?" And there's another person who was CC'd, or maybe wasn't even CC'd. It was like to that person, and it was that Anna, what's her name? That really hot biologist lady.
Anna Nakaris.
That's it. Yeah, and she's on that thread, and I was like, "What the f?" And the Daisy they have spelled in that email as has an E in it, Daisey.
Oh, okay.
Not the other, and so I'm like, okay, I'll give this one a 0% chance being real instead of -1% chance. So either someone is trying to really push this this thing through. I don't know.
Now, our friend Rob Gaudet, he seems pretty much in. Does he fully believe that this is possible, or does he fully believe that it happened? I don't want to put words in Rob's mouth. I know he's been defending the camp and their actions, and I'd be curious to hear what he has to say on the matter. If maybe he's privy to a few things that we don't know, but I can tell that from what I'm reading that I'm with you, that I think 99% of the community gives it a 1% chance of being true, and I think that that's a 1% chance now as the weeks go by is even a high number.
Yeah, well, we should get Rob on the show so we could ask him.
I know he has been reluctant to say things up until now because he would have to put words in other people's mouths for him to answer a lot of these questions, because he's getting things secondhand as well. But we should.
Well, the interesting thing is that they didn't want me to talk about it. The reason why I know this is because I usually post stuff by the Bigfoot chicks all the time. But D.W. Lee asked the Bigfoot chicks that I not post the interview on my website. So instead of what I've been doing is I've been linking to the Bigfoot chicks. So I don't know, but they're more privy to information than me.
Right.
The Bigfoot chicks. No, they're called Sasquatch Unlimited now. Bigfoot chicks.
To their credit, I think that is a better route. To their credit, I think that is a better route for them to go, to get rid of that whole chicks in leather thing and just call them so.
Oh, you're right.
But well, Michael, what do you say? What do you say to guys that make outlandish claims like this? I mean, I know what you say, but what do you say now, live, 2.5 weeks after the initial announcement?
Well, I mean, anytime you have an outlandish claim, you should be ready and willing to back it up with outlandish evidence. It doesn't make any sense to make the claim and not have any evidence.
Do you put us to fault for talking about it so much and having fun with it, or is that just it to you? We have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, people like to talk about it, and I suppose it gets them thinking about it. Sometimes, the hoax is, it's just like I said before, I think it distracts from being able to tell what's real and what's fake. That's the real damage. I don't suppose there's any damage to the entertainment part of it. I mean, who isn't entertained by these stories? We're all entertained by them, right?
Exactly.
Even if we are frustrated by them, we still find them mildly entertaining, I suppose.
Even if it's just mildly entertaining, or that doesn't seem like enough of a reason for us to keep talking about it. If it was very entertaining,
You know-
then it's like, let's talk about it because it's super entertaining. But I mean, we're still talking about it, you know?
Well, that's because I think people enjoy the story that this guy Ed Smith is telling. You know, it sounds like something out of science fiction, or maybe X-Files. You know, and then you got Tim Fasano adding onto that story with his Ed Smith African safari story, and I had to post a disclaimer on that because I didn't want people to think that's real. But Michael's right though; it makes it very hard
So
to figure out for some people.
what
to figure out
happens
if it's real or
then?
not, whatever.
What happens then if we stop talking about all these hoaxes? Because, and we're going to get into that. Excuse me. If we stop talking about all these hoaxes right now, what are we left to talk about?
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I think the Bigfoot community or Bigfooters are a lot smarter than you think. I think a majority of people don't believe this. They didn't believe 2008, Georgia hoax.
Right.
They didn't believe that, but since they got national coverage,
it's odd because 2008. What a lot of people don't realize is 2008 was debunked before the story went mainstream. Everyone knew it was. I mean, obviously, you only have to look, but the facts came out, and the story was debunked, and everyone knew that the Georgia hoax was fake prior to the press conference. I mean, they had confirmed it being a hoax. I think it was Stephen Streufert who was posting some stuff about this the other day or a couple weeks ago. We knew it was a hoax. But mainstream still ran with the story anyways, and I mean, we kind of see that, kind of happening again.
Yeah, I think hoaxers they know this. They know that the Bigfoot community is just a small minority, but once it breaks out into mainstream, that's where the money's at, and they know this, and so. I believe was it their website in 2008? The people involved in it, their website got millions of hits. And I think it brought down a lot of servers.
Yeah, I think it took down GoDaddy in general, or something. That's something that the 2008 hoaxers like to talk about. We brought down GoDaddy server. GoDaddy wasn't what it is today, and
So maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to push us to the point where
I'm pushing Michael for an opinion here. I keep pushing him for opinion, and he doesn't seem to want to talk about it. Does it really upset you, Michael?
I mean, this one
in
particular, or
obviously hoaxes upset us. We want real stuff, but what's going on? Are we not doing enough research, or is it just because it's winter, nobody's getting out in the snow? What is it that really irks you about this? You don't seem to want to talk about it.
I don't think that's true at all. I mean, I did a video talking about it. Yeah. Here's the thing, it's Guy Edwards. We're all big fans of Guy Edwards and his 5 stages to a hoax, and this follows it perfectly. They make this announcement and they don't really provide any evidence.
Stage 2 is attack of critics. How dare you ask me for proof? That's stage 2.
Right. And then they'll delay it. And they'll delay it, and then they'll say they were hoaxed. And I mean, they could milk this for a long time, and I don't know if this guy's. I don't even really care if this guy's real. I just think this whole thing, like no one heard about these guys.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, just mysteriously, and it sounds like something from $6 Million Man. They've got these bases all over the United States.
It sounds pretty ridiculous. I don't, that's just on the surface. It sounds pretty ridiculous, but we're chasing after a 10-foot tall primate in the woods that's not supposed to exist. So I don't know where the line is between, what is acceptable and what in our world we pretty much are constantly dealing with what's considered ridiculous. So
you want to know what's ridiculous? Someone pointed. I wish I could credit them because I forgot who it was, but they pointed out quite correctly. If you look at all the major biological discoveries of new critters over the last 200 or 300 years, show me one of these people that made a lot of money off their discovery. Like they didn't make money off the fact that they discovered, and so everyone's basing it like, oh, we're going to get Sasquatch in a jar, and we'll have the DNA, and it'll be worth trillions, millions of dollars, 10 million, according to Spike TV, right?
And that brings up the point. That brings up my other point. Is all of this happening because of all the media attention? Is everyone just like pushing all these hoaxes? Because now, if you have enough attention drawn to you, you might get interviewed for a television show. I mean, we all know that. Everyone we know has been interviewed for at least one show. You know?
Yeah, well, we don't know what's... I mean, I suppose Phil, he does the breakdown. Some stuff is obvious hoaxing, but how can you tell, really? I mean, with this one, the thing that I don't like about it is the lack of any type of supporting evidence to back up the claims they're making.
So what does someone like Ed Smith have to gain by all of this?
It's hard to tell. There's one rumor is that Ed Smith it might be an imaginary person. But he did go on a couple of radio shows. Tim Fasano brought this up last week that Ed Smith was invited to, I think it was a Steve Cole's radio show, and that because people wanted to know who this Ed Smith character was, because people like saying the same thing now. Who's this guy? Where did he come from? So I guess DW came on the show with Ed Smith, and Ed Smith was asked some questions about Bigfoot or anything, something related to what they were talking about, and he really had no idea. And Tim Fasano thinks that Ed Smith is a made-up character, and that somebody brought him on the show, like a friend or something, and just so he can pretend to be Ed Smith. You see, because Tim Fasano was paying attention. This guy isn't the guy that I heard about, and he doesn't have a clue. So it's such a weird.
And everybody keeps saying, well, Ed Smith, Darkwing knows Ed Smith. They've interviewed him. Well, I could call a phone line and say I'm Ed Smith. I could say, I mean, who's gone into the field with Ed Smith? Who has a picture with Ed Smith? Who has any evidence that this Mr. Alexander and Ed Smith ever had a group called Quantra 6 Delta Phi fuck you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody's been able to prove that. They just go, oh no, he was on a blog talk show. No fucking shit. I've been on a blog talk show. I didn't have to say I was me.
Exactly. And I asked Rob got it from Sasquatch Unlimited, and he said, oh yeah, he's real, but, and I said, Rob, do you know somebody who met him? But the thing they always give us is
it's all good. Yeah, there's a guy right now in the chat room saying this guy Paul is like, oh no, Ed knows him. Bullshit. He doesn't know him. That's complete bullshit. He's never shown a picture of him with Ed Smith, has he? He hasn't posted a picture that we couldn't verify as someone named Ed Smith.
Exactly. Show me his hand. I don't need to see his face.
Bro, it is a secret team,
This I'm going to show how this works. I'm going to go into the chat room right now, and I'm going to say that I am Ed Smith. Ed Smith.
Yeah, but see, it's different because you're really not one of the secret Quanta.
No, but I am going to.
Sean, I just want to ask Sean this. I mean, Sean, between you and, well, probably you and Guy Edwards, you guys know everything about Bigfoot. And have you heard of Quantra before Daisy?
No, I haven't.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah. Because they were called the original 6. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
okay, I never heard of the original 6 either.
So if they are real, they have to be government agents.
Yeah.
Yes.
To be that secret.
Well, we got the mystery of them being these ex-military, highly trained guys. I mean, it just I don't know. The story, it's just like it's starting to sound like one of those movies, that these guys came out, one of those sci-fi movies, and they're ex-military, and we're gonna get them all together and catch the alien beast.
It's almost like they're basing the whole story around, and they use 6 because of the whole. It's like SEAL Team 6. No, we're Bigfoot 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll all be real.
Oh, that's funny.
So, I don't know.
And the funny thing, you know what bothers me about it is because people have mentioned military and all this stuff in that, and military people, I mean, once you're out in the military, unless you were in a position that you did stuff that was really highly sensitive, you're not gonna go hang out with and say, oh look, we're gonna do this military style and have this system. And if we're all about truth, honor, courage, and commitment in the military, you're not gonna go around, especially with a finding like this, and keep it like a hidden secret. I mean, especially if you're trying to prove the Bigfoot exists. I just feel that a military person would not be like that. There's, we have a lot of stuff that we do, and it just doesn't make any sense to me that military guys would do it.
You also know that I have multiple personalities online, and I could, I could be a member. It's one
I'm
of,
one of them. I'm one of Rose.
People are saying, well, you could read his posts. Well, I can read posts by this other guy here, which is my alter ego, which I know doesn't exist, doesn't mean anything, and I got people having a conversation with him. And by the way, I'm not telling you people who my troll is. So, so anyways, all right. So as of right now, we're in stage 3 delay. There's no press conference, right, Sean?
No. Didn't they say they were gonna come up with a press conference like 48 hours? I think I said this. They said this last week, right? 48 hours.
Well, no, that wasn't Team Contra that said that. That was Ed Smith, and then he contacted Hobie. I have no idea what the hell Hobie has to do with this.
Let's look at the 5 steps, right? Announcement, defensiveness, postponement of evidence, stage 4, postponement of evidence again. I don't know when stage 5 is coming up, but stage 5 is claim you were a victim. Yeah. You are a victim of a hoax. Okay, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that right now.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to make news out of this, and that's understandable. Just like the people, they're in contact with Ed Smith. They're part of news. So if you're trying to make news, we got, there's no problem with that. We're doing the same thing. We're trying to make news. But I think that the bad part about this is that all these assumptions are being made. The Team Contra, whoever this team is, if they're even real, I mean, from what I'm getting, if this is real, they really don't want to talk. So, and they probably won't if they are real. I mean, if they're that secret. So, I don't think that Ed Smith knows anything. I think that DW, I'm sorry, unfortunately, these guys are just talking because they want to get their names out there. And, it's fine. Go, do your thing. Get your name out there if you want to.
So we right now, the only real person, 2 real people that we know of that are in this who are liaison are Darkwing and Steve and Rob Godet, but they still can do nothing more than verify that they are talking to someone by the name of Ed Smith. They cannot verify anything further at this point in time. So,
wouldn't it be nice to see even a photograph of this trap, this giant cargo trainer?
Okay. I'm gonna
picture Bigfoot if you have Bigfoot. The hell with a trap.
Helicopter.
I don't give a damn about a trap.
I'm gonna try to get Paul here. Paul. It almost sounds like Paul believes them, and I'm gonna ask him.
He's posting. He's posting in the chat room right now. So the major feedback from the chat room right now is everyone's calling BS, and that's what they're. It's almost like they're at the stage where they're just hoping to stop talking about it. But
it's a riot.
But I still don't see
what
attention. You didn't get really any attention out of this. You didn't accomplish anything. You didn't make any money. You didn't get a TV show out of this. There's an imaginary documentary. Everything is imaginary. What do you get out of this? It's just a long troll. It's just a long troll for kicks.
All right.
Well, there'll be a documentary about the imaginary documentary and the trolling that took place. There's your documentary.
All right. Let me ask this.
There's still hope, bro.
All right.
Let me get Paul on, okay? Because Paul believes them. Paul sounds like believes them, and
Paul who?
And he has a lot of information. Paul
Okay.
GT3. Remember the guy with
Hello,
the
Paul.
Hello?
How you doing?
Pretty
You're
good. Who
talking
am I
to all the
talking to?
guys on the Extinct podcast. This is Ro, Sean, Michael, and Damien are with
Okay,
me.
bro.
Yeah.
And Sean?
What's up, Paul?
yes.
What
Stuff off.
makes you? What makes
Hey,
you
man.
What makes you certain that this person that you is real, that no one has seen or been able to verify as an actual member of this team?
Well, here's what I did. As soon as Ed outed, and when I think Sean put it on Bigfoot Evidence, which is my favorite website, all of our favorite websites.
Too.
I like that website.
So I started doing some research, and through MARBC, I found the podcast that Ed did 2 years ago, even longer than 2 years ago. So if they set this up as a hoax, they did this 2.5 years ago. And the details that Ed had were just amazing. And I'm an engineer. Sean knows I'm a flight test guy. So I'm sitting here listening to all this. And if these guys are really hoaxing, then they're sick engineers.
Well,
that's all I
it
gotta
could
say.
also. It could also.
they-
I mean, the podcast. I didn't listen to the whole thing. It was kind of generalized. It could just be a troll. I mean, there's still no association to any real group at this point in time. Ed Smith could be a friend of yours. You know.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
I know. I was just.
matter of fact, I don't even know. I don't even know Darkwing Lee, but I would assume the best way would be to get a hold of Darkwing Lee and ask him. He said he's had dinner with Ed. You know, they were in the same interview room at the same time. He's the key, but as opposed to, like, you know, outside of going on CNN with a rubber mask, this has got to be the most elaborate thing if they didn't do it. And, you know, you talk about the 5 steps of the hoax. They haven't done, as far as I can tell, they haven't done any of that. Ed outed them. They didn't want, if whatever the name of the group is, Quantra or whatever, he was a member of that group. They were a bunch of college buddies. You guys have all heard the story by now. Back in the 80s, they saw a fake documentary on Canada about researching Bigfoot, and they go, hey, you know, and these guys, some of them were engineers, and they said, let's do this for real, and let's see if we, and so they've been brainstorming since the mid-80s. And then in the 90s, they started doing testing, and as from what, you know, it's like on Sean's website this morning, Dr. Matthew Johnson said, how could Bigfoot be caught when they watched him build these traps right out? Well, they didn't build the traps out there. If you'd listen to the podcast, he said they built the traps in a shop, and they look like outbuildings or tool sheds, and then they carried them out there and put them out there like any farmer would do, one of millions of farmers would do on his property. And a Bigfoot would see that, and they put bait in there, and there's 12 traps, not just one. And so the details and the forethought, as far as I can tell as a flight test engineer, if it's a hoax, they had some smart people, and they put a lot of thought into it, and it's an amazing hoax. That's all I got to say. It's like the people that say Patterson-Gimlin's not real. If it's not real, it's one of the best
but
ever.
With Patterson-Gimlin, we can see
rises to
Patterson-Gimlin is the thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Ed just outed those guys, and the only research that he said he did was he checked the IP addresses, and they're the same IP addresses that the group used years before when he was still a member. And like I told Sean, it sounded like he designed the trap, and then on MARBC, I saw that he actually did do like 95% done when he left the group.
Again,
so
but are there
he
any
knew exactly
traps? I mean, if they had like 10 of them, how come we haven't? I mean, I haven't seen any photographs of these things.
Yeah, well, according to these guys and the podcast, they wanted everything done and buttoned up, and the animal released before they ever made an announcement.
Are they going to release?
And let
animals?
me just say before we go any further, Paul, I appreciate you coming on. Paul is not affiliated. Paul is not affiliated with the groups. He's just someone who's been following the story closely, giving his opinion. So
yeah, I did some research for Sean. That's all I did.
Yeah, I think Paul's the only one who listened to the entire radio show in the face of the I was sleeping, dude. I
have a bad back, and I couldn't go to sleep one night, so I just sat there and listened to them the whole 3.5 hours of both podcasts.
Well, Paul, did you say you were an engineer or something?
No, I am an engineer. I'm a retired scientist for the Navy, and now I run my own UAV company. You guys talked to me before about the UAVs.
Yeah.
You would probably know way better than I would, but these clamshell, whatever these devices were, they would have to have been at least 20 feet wide, and now you're telling me they built like 10 of them. I mean, how many man-hours? I mean, that's a lot of work, right?
Yeah, they did. From what I understood, what I read on MABRC or heard in one of the podcasts, because there's so much information in my head now, that they're 8 feet tall, and they're made of really solid steel. They were like 11 by 12 feet wide, 11 by 12 feet, and they had a pressure plate set to go off at at 350 pounds, and they baited them, I guess, with meat, just like Dyer supposedly did. And I think what happened was it wasn't a clamshell; it was a door, just one door. That's all I had to do, because Bigfoot will go into a farmhouse or whatever and get a free lunch. I mean, they do that all the time. So all he had to do was shut one door with that pressure plate. As soon as it stood on the pressure plate, then it was done. And the other thing is, I want to say that these guys thought of was, like Dr. Johnson, he goes, a family would never let this happen. The family group would come and get the subject out of there. Well, the group thought of that. They said they were either going to take a young male that was kicked out of the group, a threat to the alpha male, so he wasn't in a family pod, or an elderly individual, or a sick or injured.
I'm going to stop you right now. Still,
I'm done.
None of what you're saying has ever been traced to a source. Period. And that's what we're.
No, it all goes back to Ed's current posts on MABRC and Darkwing Lee.
These are just forum posts made by forum profiles, just avatars,
right? And the two shows 2.5 years ago, and now Steve Cole's thing that he had him on his show. He knows who Ed Smith is, supposedly.
Right.
That's all I know.
Well,
now another thing that I want to say to Paul is, do you think somebody really has to be engineered to design a trap like that?
I think you'd need to be a scientist, or at least a good civil engineer, to design.
The reason I'm saying that is because, if I take a small trap and I'm a pretty smart guy, and I say, okay, how many pounds do I need I got the little trap that looks like something that I want. Yep. And, I take the trap and I say, okay, now how can I make this bigger? How much weight I'm going to need to take this trap off? What am I going to do? I mean,
right.
There's people out there that are mechanical. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not putting engineers down, but I say to myself, if somebody wants to build this and they have some kind of knack of mechanics, they might be able to pull it off too. It's not just an engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You could be a smart farmer. I mean, farmers are responsible for repairing their own equipment. They can't, their farm equipment. They could have picked up enough mechanical information. It could be technicians for the Air Force or the Army, or
we got that. We got that. So my point is that at this point in time, every player in the game is simply an avatar at the moment. And
yes, that's a good point.
At that point, so with what where do you put it? 50-50 that this is a real event?
50-50, yeah. Yeah, I'm saying I think 50-50.
And this is from someone who's done all the research on all the details. So that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. With Paul here. It does sound very elaborate, especially with that email thread I saw. That was kind of weird. And
that's my only point, really, is that we're dismissing it so quickly. that without
No,
sitting
I
down and
don't-
listening to it all,
Well, I
that
don't think.
it's
Hold
probably
on a second.
50-50.
What were you saying, Michael?
Well, I don't think we're dismissing it too quickly. I think the thing is, there's been a lot of. I mean, you're saying all these forum posts as evidence. So, I mean, so far we have no photos of the device, no photos of the critter, no names of this mystical group. I mean, we have nothing to back up what is just a story. So I don't think that's dismissing it out of hand. I think that's dismissing it because there's no evidence to back up the claim.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, 2.5 years ago, they said they weren't going to come out with any kind of evidence until everything was wrapped up and fully documented. That's another thing I was impressed with.
But the timing on it, I mean, a hoax, a good hoax has longevity. I mean, just look at the Ketchum study.
Yep.
I almost choked in the study, but
yeah. I don't, Michael. I don't disagree with you at all on that. But
I totally disagree with the thing about they're saying that they weren't going to put anything out until they were sure. That gets me sometimes kind of hot about it because I'm thinking of the greatest discovery in scientific modern history is in your hands, and you're gonna tell me, "Oh no, we gotta do this right." Yeah, doing it right is by showing that you have the damn creature in your hand.
Correct. Very true.
Yeah,
that's what doing it right is.
They were 2.5 years ago. What they said in the podcast is they were worried about exploitation of the animal, and so they wanted to get it in. Tranquilize it, get it examined, and get it out there before anybody knew about
it. People, protect the forest people.
Exploitation.
I would imagine.
Protect the forest.
And it's not even real yet.
I would imagine that there are no, with any species, you have to involve the fish and game to some degree. Is that true, Michael? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And
they're on private property.
It does.
The answer to that was they were on private property and there was no government interaction whatsoever because they were completely in cahoots with the landowners and they were under no restrictions to have to talk to any governmental body.
Once you have the body, once you have a
specimen,
you have to follow certain guidelines, period.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if...
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily... I mean, the lack of a protection order, most states, and there could be some exceptions, but most states I'm aware of look at it as if it doesn't matter if you've got private land or not. If there's a critter on that property, it belongs to the state first.
Yeah.
And especially an extremely rare cryptid that no one's ever brought to science, I really think the state would take a precedence.
Yeah. If you catch a trout out of season on a private pond, you still caught a trout.
Exactly.
Out of the law. And you can get...
And I understand... And I understand that they probably, let's say supposedly they have it for real, they want to document it. I mean, there's ways you can protect yourself because if you have documentation that you have a real animal and then you turn it over to the, to and say, look, we have this. If you have a lot of video and stuff that they can't get their hands on, you have a card in your, you have a way to play, say, hey, look, Arbol, we have this documented and you guys just can't take this away from us.
Right.
I am aware
that's what I don't get,
this is kind of strange, but there was Komodo dragons are protected, but I believe it was on the Indonesian mainland, whatever mainland is. These guys had gotten their hands on some Komodo dragons and had raised like hundreds of them over the course of like 10 years before they let anybody know that they had them. So who knows? Maybe somebody's got some secret facility with it.
And they're just going to deal with it.
Yeah, Komodo Bigfoot.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, for bringing your personal insight
no problem.
to
this. Paul.
I'm not. Again, Sean said it right. I'm not affiliated with anybody but Sean, and
you know what, guys? This is Ed Smith you're talking to.
I know. We all know you're deep in this.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, Ed.
Yeah, I had dinner with
Well, that's awesome. So now we know the truth.
Ed.
We're all Ed Smith. All of us are.
So thanks for having me on. I just want to let you know that I did as much research. The only other thing I would add is Ed did post either yesterday or the day before that there was a health issue with the animal, and that's the only other point that I haven't heard you guys talk about. And you guys can go ahead and I'll go back and listen.
Thank you again, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ed.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks.
Well, the health of the animal, I suppose,
Well, it's from us because we've passed some
Yeah.
disease onto it, like we do to all indigenous
Well, we
people
can
that
pass.
have
I
high
mean,
resistance.
we kill off mountain gorillas because we infect them with our viruses too. So I imagine that any
Right.
hominoid type of species will be susceptible to human disease. Period. That's just a guess, but
Or us to
Yeah,
something
exactly.
they have.
Okay, so here's the thing. They're planning on they're gonna release the creature. They're not gonna let anybody take a look at it. Okay.
Of course.
It has
Of
health
course.
issues. Yeah. It has some health issues. So where do you see this ending?
Okay.
Let's,
yeah.
let's start
You know
at
how
the
I see
start.
this ending?
Somebody-
Zombie apocalypse. Yeah,
Like
if they're going
Resident
to infect
Evil-ish?
us with some kind of crazy disease. Bigfoot, the CDC is going to have to come in to contain all the Bigfoots.
They're going to ship
Yeah,
Bigfoot to the moon.
and we're going to have to. It's going to be the end of humanity. I don't suppose they made this announcement on the last day on Earth on December 21st. When was the original announcement?
The original announcement was
The last week, right?
It
Of December,
feels like
right?
a month
Yeah,
ago
it was-
already.
It does. It feels like forever, dude.
It does
Yeah, it was the week before. No, 2 weeks before the end of December it was.
Well,
December
okay,
27th,
so it wasn't
guys.
an end of the world announcement.
Oh, it was at the end. Okay.
Although they may have
so-
caught,
Wow.
they may
Just
have
felt that
caught
way.
Daisy on the 21st, and we just heard about it. You know, it could have been.
She was blinded by the planetary alignment.
All
Couldn't
right.
see.
So
Couldn't
yeah.
catch
So
her.
there you have it, people. That is our most polite version of what we think is going on.
Busted.
We
Busted.
refrained pretty much. You know what? I am tired, guys, of having to explain myself. And people are like, "Well, if you want to be a Bigfoot believer, why are you so quick to like slam?" And it has nothing to do with me being so quick to slam people. I'm just saying, yes, I want one of these stories to be true, but don't fucking play me for a fool either. You know, it sucks. It sucks. It completely.
I appreciated Paul's side of the
Absolutely.
story, though.
That's someone. That's
was
someone
awesome.
who's doing the homework to make sure before it goes any further. He wants to know if he should believe it, so he did his due diligence, and he's 50-50, and I think that's a great position to be in, you know. So
Yeah, I came from negative
Yeah.
1 to 0 now.
you're at
so-
0. I think I'm at 1%.
chance.
I think I'm at 1% now because of Paul.
Oh.
You know,
Well, I think because of Paul, I'm at a probably 0.0001%.
that's pretty good.
What were you, Damien?
Me, I mean, I want to believe. You know that I believe in Bigfoot. But the thing is, man, that you start getting in your mind as a person that wants to see the creature. Stop. Give me a reach around, man. Finish.
Give me that happy ending.
Finish
baby.
this. Show me. Yeah, I'm tired of the reach arounds. I want to get this done.
Well, here's why I'm super skeptical of this. When I first started doing this Bigfoot blog, I got a phone call from this guy. I think his name was Chris or something, but he gave me his phone number and everything. Okay, I talked to this guy for 2 weeks. He even claims to have pictures and want to meet me at somewhere. He's gonna fly over and show me some pictures. But I talked to this guy for a whole week. This guy sounds more smart. He claims he works he flies UAVs or something, and the government funds him. Okay, he's a contractor basically, and he works out of this place. It's called Area 51, but he gave it a different name.
Green Lake.
Yeah. yes, something like that. And this guy was telling me, wow, like some amazing things. Like they got this RFID powder. It's like glitter, and it has those RFID tags where it's like a radio tag, but they can make him the size of a glitter now. And I actually searched for it. He told me to go search for it. I searched for it. It's like glitter. And he says what they did was, like I said, I believe this guy. I was naive. I was like, wow, oh, it's so exciting, right? Yeah, I had his phone number, everything. so he said what they did was they got these powder and they just scatter it all over the forest, like in Tennessee or something, East Tennessee. So I'm not even supposed to say that. But
We're in trouble now, Sean.
so yeah, so he says what happens is that creatures walking by like a hot spot that they chose will get these powder on them, and they can track them, and they can figure out their movements, whether or not they're bipedal or whatever. And they got these radio frequency towers set up that can track these creatures, and I guess they learned a couple of things with them, like what Bigfoots like to do. They like to stay in one place and peek at people, and they were able to follow them around with their airplanes, with the drones, and take high quality pictures of them. And I said I want to see these photos, and he said okay, let's set up a meeting. I'm gonna fly over to your airport and we'll meet up. So I guess on that day that we were supposed to meet up at the airport, he texted me. He goes, "Oh, I got busy. I won't be able to make it today." And then to me, that's like, okay, he's delaying. I see where this is going, but I gotta admit, I was hopeful that he had something,
Step 3.
Yeah. But yeah, I actually got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Everyone here knows that I don't get up until 10 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah. So getting up to 6 is like, I'm like serious about that, so I can go meet this guy at the airport and so he can show me his photos. So I fell for that. I really did. I was like telling Sherry about it, and I was so excited I couldn't even sleep. It's like going on for 2 weeks, man. And this guy was texting me. Okay, I was at work, and he was like texting me, "Hey, Sean, we're in the middle of the mountains right now. We have guns. Where we found him. That's like a baby Sasquatch. He fell down the hole, and we're trying to rescue it right now." And just all this stuff. And I was just texting back and forth. He was just telling me all this stuff. And he said that oh man, I wanted to share it so bad. I actually have the email. I recorded the conversation with this guy. I don't know where it's at right now, but it sounds almost like Team Contra here. And so to me, it sounded like that. It reminded me of so there's a lot of clever people out there.
Yeah.
Who knows
and
their
some
shit.
people don't have hobbies. They're just doing. You and I and Michael and Damien, we all have. Like, we all go and do photography. We all go out in the woods. We make movies. We have day jobs. Some people, they don't have a packed schedule from top to bottom, and they do silly shit. It's like, what can I do today? I got some free time. I'm gonna fucking start a long troll. It's called the long con. And the only difference is when you do a long con, there's a payoff at the end. I haven't figured out what the fucking payoff is on the end for some of these guys, other than they're just getting their nuts off, just getting their nut, Oh
yeah, they're for a lot of people, they love the
That's why you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful when people start telling you these intricate, detailed stories, because naturally we have nowadays the internet, and now you can find technical wording and learn it and tell people that you know about that.
Just put Wikipedia, and you can sound like a genius. Like I fake it all the time. I don't know anything about fucking deers or animals, dude. But I fake it, dude. I fake it. You probably think I know so much.
No.
I don't know anything about conny traps, but I sound like I do.
Okay,
all that stuff.
Let's shift gears now. Speaking of animals, Michael just put up a video that everyone needs to check out. It's a cool octopus video. Octopi are like one of my probably top 3 most favorite animals on the planet. They're such alien creatures, and they do things that aren't supposed to be done in nature. Now, they have a level of camouflage unprecedented in the animal kingdom. I mean, they have this next level chameleon ability. Now, and everything is speculation, so are there any examples of mammals having anything similar to that type of camouflage that we can maybe attribute to our friend the Sasquatch here, why we can't see these fuckers that often?
I don't know of any mammal.
Yeah.
I mean, reptiles. There's some reptiles that can change their color. That owl that Sean had up that has like 3 different distinct morphologies
That was very
it
cool.
can,
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it had 3 distinct, separate defense strategies, survival strategies based on what threat that it was encountering in its environment. I mean, that was pretty awesome. So I'm thinking maybe Sasquatch, if it's real, that it's operating because it does the tree peeking, right? It does the rock throwing, the intimidating stuff. Which I'm really curious. We should have Guy Edwards on here. I want to find out whether that type of behavior falls within a certain season of the year more often than not. Either one of you guys? Any of you guys know anything about that?
I don't hear a whole lot of reports regarding winter activity. Although I know there are a lot. I typically don't hear as much about it. I guess for wintertime.
Dax are his in the wintertime.
So I don't know if that behavior is more common in the summertime and springtime, but
well, it could just be that there's more people out in the summer.
My point.
Well, if Bigfoot had some kind of capability like that to be able to camouflage itself, then it would not fall in the hominid genius then, because we know for a fact that no primate or anything like that has anything that capability. So that's another thing that that I have a problem with when people say that Bigfoot can disappear, it can cloak itself, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we talk about the squid that it can when it changes color. Not only does it change its color, but it does it in, if you want to call it, in a 2-dimensional way, because it also changes its texture. So color and texture. So that's what I'm saying. If Bigfoot is capable of that, then I'm sorry.
It can change its shape. It can actually look like another fish, or it can look like different critters, a crab. There's a whole bunch of different. So the octopus can change colors, and it can change the actual shape because it doesn't have any bones.
Yeah. So then that would be in precedence, an amazing precedence then, because maybe we're thinking, well, Bigfoot is human, Bigfoot is hominid. What about if it's not? People say, well, it has hands and feet. I don't know about that.
Yeah, but Damien, what do you think about the chances that Bigfoot could climb a tree, could lay on the ground, swim underwater, hide behind a tree? Maybe it's taken advantage of all the different ways that animals hide in the environment just because it's capable of doing it and it's smart.
Right.
I mean, do you think that's possible?
And another thing that you did, I remember when you did that, when that video came out from the Maine ghost hunters, that you went into the brush.
Oh yeah.
Showed them. How easy it is for you to disappear, and it was daylight. It was still daylight. So, that's another thing that people don't realize. That I'd say, people are taking this magical thing about Bigfoot. I mean, even let's say, let's go back a few thousand years when the American Indians were out there. I mean, the wood was even thicker than what it is now. So Bigfoot disappearing in the woods to the American, to the First Nations people. I'm using the wrong terminology. He would seem magical to them. Imagine he just walked in the brush, he vanished. So that's what I'm saying. That analogy of that, and I'm fascinated. I'm fantastic. I'm fascinated by that. But then you start realizing there's certain things that you must be as a rational thinking person. You can be fantastic all you want, but at one moment in time, you have to try to say, well, I got to separate the reality from what I want to believe and what I'm thinking scientifically, if you think that way,
I want to go back. Sorry about that, David. I posted something in the chat, and you can see it too. Everyone can see it. Okay. I want to tell you how elaborate this guy was trying to hoax me. This guy was leaving these messages on my blog, these comments, to make it seem like seem authentic, okay? So somebody came on. Remember, I was talking about how this guy I was in contact with. He was like telling me they have photos of Bigfoot. They've been tracking Bigfoots in Tennessee. And I actually had to delete this comment, but I still have records of everything I delete, because the guy called me after somebody, which I think is him. Somebody posted this comment about a meeting that took place between a white-haired gentleman and some guy in a U.S. forestry uniform. And the guy said, "Hey man, can you delete that for me? That was supposed to be a secret meeting." And I said, "Oh yeah," I felt kind of scared. I was a newbie, But now I'll be like, "Fuck it, I'll post this," But so this is a comment that was left on the blog a year ago, and that I had to delete because I was scared. But I'm gonna repost it. So people can read it. Remember, this guy somehow. Remember, no one knew my real name back then, but this guy somehow know my real name, and that was partly, the reason why I was
MIBs. That's what it was. John.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. The MIBs always know your name.
Some people really hate you, Sean, for no good reason. They, people hate you, and whenever I see these these trolls, they're always looking. People are always looking for an angle against you. More so you than any of us. It doesn't surprise me that people would be.
Who has a good reading voice? Because I don't. I'm Asian. I can't read. But bro, do you want to read this comment?
Okay.
Make it.
I saw this post and had to comment. I am a server in a nice restaurant in Washington. I had a table for lunch 2 days ago, and one of my tables was having a heated discussion about what I think may have been a Bigfoot. I know this is kind of crazy. That's like, I hate that. I was like, I know this is going to sound crazy. All right. I know this is kind of crazy, but two of these guys seem to be in charge, but somehow different. Like maybe the younger guy was in charge of his people, and the other guy. Oh, come on, Sean. This is already sounding like a troll to me.
MIB.
The older guy had two other guys with him, and one was wearing a U.S. forestry uniform. At first, I thought he was a cop, but our police uniforms don't look like this. That guy was answering the white hair guy who was in a suit, always with "sir," like yes sir, no sir. As I was dropping off their appetizers, they had several pictures on the table, and I just picked one up, right to check it out. Bad move. The uniform guy practically jumped over the table, and the younger guy who seemed to be in charge of the other guys quickly snatched it out of my hand. The white hair guy, very politician-like, smiled at me and said, "It's a bear," and kind of nodded at me. It seemed like a semi-friendly response, so trying to describe the situation, I came back and kind of jokingly said, "Not any kind of bear I've ever seen." Another mistake. The younger guy snapped and Dude, are you sure this isn't your friend who writes those stories? Okay.
No. I'm not really sure.
The younger guy snapped and pointed to one of the guys who got up and came over to me and took my wallet out of my pocket and handed it to the other guy. He looked at me for a moment and said something like, "Look, we are going to tip you well, which is better for you than the alternative." Okay, it keeps going on. This is a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but
like a radio spy.
Sean, this is sounding like a troll to me right off the top. So
I know. I'm gonna repost it.
Where can you put this? You got it's twice as long than what I've read. So let me pick out a good part. Here we go. That was a.
Read the part about the MIBs and the henchmen with the machetes. Okay. And the blood and the decapitation. Yeah. Read that part, Ro.
All right. Anyways, as the meal went on, I listened where I could, and now know for sure I heard something about tracking the anomaly in Tennessee. It struck me weird that he was saying anomaly instead of animal, or anything like that. I also am positive I heard them say something about the electronic tracking and that it was 100% fail-proof and that the Tennessee test was proof. So, and then he goes on and he wraps up the story. So yeah, Sean is going to repost that somewhere for everyone to read because it's pretty funny.
So this Yeah, this reminds us that there's a lot of people out there with great stories.
Looks like from the
this,
chat room
you know?
that people were enjoying that, and that I sure was.
Make a whole video off the story.
Well, there's some part
I
you
did
skip,
skip a
bro.
few,
Like,
but look, I kind of feel like we need to read this and post it with like MIB music in the background, going dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
We should Phil do it.
Too funny. Too funny. Anyways, guys, I have no idea where we're at this point in time. What should we talk about next?
no, we were talking about animals.
Oh, let's talk about the Yowie, man. I brought a little new story about the Yowie, and the guys from Australia. They're doing a pretty good job down there documenting, which is a very important thing. At least
For me, what was great was the hour and a half long episode of Finding Bigfoot down there. Those were some interesting sounds and whatever you want to call it, events that were recorded down there. And Michael didn't do a review like he's supposed to of the show, so I didn't even know how good that show was until I watched it just 2 nights ago. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on down there.
And I mean, the picture that I just put up in that article, man, there's one. Some people say they don't see nothing, and I understand, all that. But the one of the shots that really interested me was a shot of a supposedly baby Yowie in the tree. If you look at the picture, you can see kind of like center in the picture. There's something weird there, and people were like, well, that's the shadows and stuff. But I looked at it too, and if you look at the picture. Through the leaves, you can see a lot of light coming in, and there's a lot of little details you got to pay attention to, like the coloring of the leaves and stuff like that. And that one thing, whatever it is, is a blob, naturally, but whatever it is, there's something there, and they believe that it was a juvenile in a kind of like a primate kind of, the nest that they make to go to sleep at night, and it was just hanging up in there. And it looks like some extremities coming out, either it's a tail or something. But interesting about Australia that we don't know, there is no known primates in Australia. They have a lot of marsupials. So, to see them do that and document that is interesting. And you would think, what does it see there? But if they have pictures one after the other in time and showing that there was nothing there, and then that thing appeared. Okay,
is this picture online already?
Yeah, it's in the article.
Can you pull that up?
Yeah, let me pull it up for you guys.
About? This is cool. I'm a little behind.
They have a sequence of pictures showing that there was nothing there in seconds from each other. So if it was caused by the light, the sun going down, then you would say, okay, that's shadow. But they're right after the others. So something is there. Something, whatever it is, it could be. I mean, I even thought myself maybe it was an escaped monkey, and then I looked into that too. And the area they're talking about, I didn't see any reports. Well, no, that's the one about the mother that you show right now, Sean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
One. Yeah.
Is this
that's the one.
This is the. Is that like
if you look in the center of it? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions from people on Twitter. They're like, Sean, I don't see shit.
I gotta be honest, I don't see shit either. So,
and that's understandable. That's understandable. And
I said,
we all have a view of it, but
I said, dude, it's right there. You can't see the tail.
Yeah, it's a tail, hand, whatever you want to call it. But the interesting about it, if you look at it, if you look at it and you really rationalize it, and you look in the center, if you haven't seen it yet, people out there, it's right in the middle. There's something strange there.
It's Ed Smith.
And
it's Ed Smith.
A detail I want to point. A detail I want to point out is, and seriously, if you put the picture back up, look at the shadows of the leaves compared to that supposed shadow there. I mean, most of the time shadows are very constant depending on how the light is hitting the source. Most of the time, in this situation, you have a lot of light behind the tree, the whatever it is, the bush. So you would think that it would be darker there, and you would see. Now, naturally, it was enhanced, but the shadows, they would be similar depending on how dark there is. And that one thing is right in the middle. So why would the shadow just be there in the middle for no reason, just like that. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's just my view of it. You know.
Did they see this while they were there, or did they find it after they got when they got?
No,
home?
it was they when the initial thing, the report came out was that they thought they saw something and they believed it is the mother, and then they set up the trail cams, and a week later they got this hit of whatever it was in the trail cam. They got those shots.
Interesting. Hey, Michael, we have we gone international yet? Our Yowie guy been announced yet? No. Okay.
No.
Was I not supposed to say anything yet?
No, you can't. I just got to interview him. I've got to set up a schedule and interview him.
Bro, I'm not supposed to be saying that.
You guys have to forget what we just got done talking about.
All right. Sounds good. Again. Well, what is it? What is this Yeti video? Someone's saying Yeti video, Damien, in the chat room.
Oh yeah, the White Yeti video that I did the breakdown for.
Oh yeah,
in Russia. Yeah,
oh yes. Yeah, what's going on with that?
Love the Russians.
Yeah,
they always advance. You notice that every single time. They either sit there nonchalantly describe what's happening in Russian, or they run after the great beast.
I love the Russians, man. They're not afraid of anything.
They're not wussies like the Americans and Canadians that run away from Bigfoot. Stop it.
No.
If we look at the storyline got a little bit crazy because initially, I'm sorry, Michael. The story got crazy because initially when I found the video, you know, I looked at it, man, this is kind of crazy, you know. So I showed it to Sean, and Sean was like, man, let's show it, let's see what happens. So I did a little bit more investigative stuff, and I found out that the video was related to the town, and actually the video was reported under a section of the town webpage when they report crimes and strange events. So I thought that was interesting right there when that happened, was because, I mean, why would that be categorized under something that's crime and strange events? So it didn't seem like it was something like, you know, like people saying, oh, trying to promote the town. And then when you look at the video, which is playing right now, you know, you see, and let's see when it gets started. You see right here, you know, the creature comes in view walking, something comes in view walking, and it's shaking, and then it goes up, looks over the fence about right now, there it goes. There it is, a strange face, and it runs away because they get scared, and, you know, there's a whole bunch of yelling. Some people thought the guy was laughing and all this stuff.
I love your narration, Damien.
So, you know, and a lot of people were saying they were freaked out was at the scene when the thing looked over the fence. If you look at it, could you do a freeze frame of that, Sean, when the thing looks over the fence?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
So for people
let's
who are
that.
listening to the audio version of this, we are looking at a Russian video. It's in black and white, which that means somebody intentionally made it black and white, I'm guessing. And
no, actually, it's not in black. I think it was filming at night. It's not in black and white. I don't know why it looks like that here. If you look at it, some things are color in some places. I don't know what it is about that, but whatever reason.
It looks like someone's back porch, and on the other side of the fence is a what could be an ominous character.
12 foot tall.
Yeah.
4 meters.
Okay, now you see there we go. See, that's what we were talking about. When you see the face, that part right there, a lot of people got freaked out. Some people even made comments on the video. It was kind of freaky looking. I mean, it doesn't really look like, you know, could it be a guy in a mask? Could it be I mean, it could be a lot of things.
No way it could be a mask, Damien. Look at the lips moving and the eyes blinking. Come on.
The interesting thing about it is like, you know, those guys, if you listen to the video and you see what's going on, you know, it doesn't look like it's something planned or, you know, like acting or something. These guys, one guy even sounds like nervous, like he's like, oh my God, what the hell was that? And some people were commenting, well, what did he say that you see that white thing? I go, well, I mean, how would you react if you saw something that you didn't really know what it was? I mean, people were saying, well, you know, they knew what that was. I go, well, I mean, if I don't know what something really is, that would be my reaction. What the hell was that? You know, like we say, you know, what, do you see that? Do you see that? You know, like when people see UFOs, do you see that? You know, so that's what I'm saying. So I thought it was interesting when that happened, when, you know, once it got translated, that it seemed like they were really genuine about what was going on. that's all.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeti. Yeti.
I'm looking at
Yeah,
the.
confirmed.
The white Yeti.
Got a coned head. It bounces when it walks.
Confirmed on
Yeah.
4
Yeah,
points.
it has a rise paw.
Some people say, it looks like a guy in a hood. Some people say it's a guy in a suit.
Easily
I look
12
into
foot
the
tall.
sales. I look into the sales of the white Yeti outfits, and in Russia they do sell same costumes like we sell here. They have.
Well,
So anything is possible. But it was an interesting video. I mean, if you watch it, it's interesting. I don't know. You
No,
can
it's-
figure
They're
out
selling
whatever you
suits
want.
doesn't mean they're all suits.
Yeah. So it could be a guy in a snowsuit. Who knows? But I mean, it's a weird little scene. Check it out if you haven't yet. It's an interesting kind of video.
that's
12 foot tall.
yeah, it's a juvenile. It's a juvenile
Everything's
Bigfoot.
juvenile Bigfoot
Michael.
these days.
Yeti. I think a Yeti's taller.
We've
than the-
Oh no, the Yetis are not supposed to be that big. So don't forget
There are
that.
2 versions: a small one and a huge, humongous one.
I thought that the
The
humongous
smaller
one wasn't
version
like
eats frogs.
the bigger ones. They don't exist anymore. They only have the medium ones now.
No, they still have the big ones, Damien.
Yeah,
They're in the
big
cave.
ones are-
In the tops of the
the cave trolls.
way up in the mountains. Actually, they live at the tree line. I think they feed back and forth. They only go through there for the passes.
But one other thing interesting about this video, though, the one thing before I forget, is that the area, they have a lot of reports, even in the site it says, they have a lot of reports of hominoids. This is not the first time that's been reported, so it's interesting to see. Now, I contacted the webpage guys to see if I get an answer. I don't know if anybody speaks English there or not, but I did send a message to see if they would answer me to why that video was posted like that. Is it, I asked a straight question, is this a publicity thing? And to see if they answer me. I haven't got anything
It's going to
back
come
yet,
back in
so.
Russian. Now,
Yeah, these Russians are getting better.
well, you
at,
know what? Russia makes a
these
lot of
videos.
sense for if you were going to pursue a relic hominid. They're
And they pursue them. I love that
Yes.
about the Russian videos. They always advance.
they
Yeah.
they got a little bit of that Cold
They're-
War mentality.
I wonder why that is. Why do you think the hoaxes in the U.S. run away and the ones in Russia run towards the
'Cause
Sasquatch?
I
Yeti.
think the
Honest.
Russians are just a little more fearless of and ballsy when
Ballsy.
it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because the people who make these hoax videos here in the U.S. are all film students, and I can vouch for film students because I know a bunch of them. They're pussies. These guys are the biggest pussies you'll ever meet.
I think the Russian guys
the
are all
Russian guys
hunters.
are
from the
hunters. They got
Southeast.
guns, vodka-induced charges, man.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that you say that
false
because it's
confidence.
true, man. A lot of the people that I've seen videos from online that are Russian, they do a lot of outdoor stuff over there.
Russia
they're in the woods doing crazy kinds of
massive,
stuff.
massive wilderness.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid of
Yeah.
mushrooms.
And they have,
Yeah.
I mean, these could be like disfigured people living in Chernobyl. Who knows? Mutants. Zombie apocalypse.
That's where I'd expect to find Yeti.
But interesting enough is the Caucasus area, which is an area of Russia more to the eastern side of Russia. There's like a lot of stories from war, from a long time ago. That even the story of an army general that they were doing. I can't remember the name of the war, but they were going out there to on patrol, and they came up to a cave, and something came out that looked like a caveman, and they killed it. That's a story about that. So it's just interesting in that general area of the Caucasus, and where that city is, where the white Yeti came from. That video,
Like,
that they have all these reports.
Russia
about
is
that.
interesting because of the fossil record that is established from, I don't know what parts. It might not even be Russia, but in Eastern Europe, in a lot of the Eastern Europe, a lot of these relic hominids are where they're, or Eastern Europe and Asia are where these relic hominids were discovered, like I don't know if Neanderthal, but Denisovans, is that what it is? And recently the red ape people, that was in, or red deer people, I think that was in China below Russia. But yeah, I mean they have a very rich fossil history there, for hominids. I mean, I don't know about I don't know about giant 8-foot tall Bigfoot type hominids, but wild men that this.
Why not? They had everything else there. They had the giant, what was it, Aorok, that huge cattle that was like
was
Irish cattle. That had,
Sean's putting up that video about the footprint in the snow. Remember that video that we were trying to find out, Michael?
Bison.
What about Giganto?
Michael, you remember this?
Giganto anywhere in the Russian area? Oh, cave bears. Ooh, cave bears are cool.
Dragons.
What were you asking, Sean? What were you asking?
Well, I want to ask Michael what he thinks about these footprints from Russia, because the hunters up there, they saw these footprints in the snow.
Look at the stride on that thing. It's a big stride.
So what is it, bear? What is it, Michael? I mean, they said
this is the one from last year, right, Sean?
Yes.
Yeah, the one that we were trying to figure out.
I don't know. I mean, that looks like a giant person walking barefoot in the snow.
Why would anybody walk barefoot in the snow up there?
I have absolutely no idea why anybody would ever walk barefoot in the snow.
You do.
Especially they got their own snow walker.
But look at that. Look at that, though. That's huge. Okay, and they say
the thing is, Sean, they could have just had some big guy with them, and they could have made had him walk. Who knows? If they didn't hoax it, then it's pretty impressive. But
people were saying that it wasn't inline either. That's why they said that it must be human, because if you look at the
footprint, guy had, he did that thing with the gorilla, was walking on the tightrope, slack lining, which supposedly is how Bigfoot walks, right, in line.
That doesn't necessarily mean that whatever hominoid they have there would.
Well, that's true, Ro. No, you're absolutely right.
Well, yeah, and that was an argument I was having with people that were posting on the video about the Yeti. People were saying, "Oh, Bigfoots don't do that." I go, "Yeah, but this is not a Bigfoot. This is a Yeti. So how do you know that a Yeti doesn't do that?"
Well, hell, we don't even know anything about the Sasquatch.
Yeah, so it's just, I always have a problem with that. And people, Bigfoots do this, so all other cryptids in the world that are bipedal have to do what Bigfoot does.
We know they're rare, Damien. Bloody damn rare. The whole lot of them.
And how did they get to Australia? By boat?
Well, I mean, I doubt it. Maybe they rode whales or manatees. They were manatee riding, dugong riding to get down there.
But I thought we had that discussion, Michael, that we thought that maybe the oceans were low enough for them to walk all the way to Australia.
Well, that's probably the most reasonable explanation,
now,
Damien. I mean, clearly they had to have been there when that continent separated along with all the marsupials. So they would have been there, 200,000 years or something? I don't know. How long did Australia separate?
And you know
from
what?
The
nearby is where they found. I know they found Giganto, one species of Giganto in like Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, somewhere down there. And I forget what its revised name was, but they used to refer to it as Meganthropus. They gave it a new name later, but that's all from those island systems just above Australia, not far away. It's a hotbed.
Not far away.
Well, there was all kinds of weird stuff on those islands because the islands get separated, and so you have this evolution that takes place without outside influences.
Homo
and you get all kinds of strange critters.
Right there, 15,000 years ago, possibly. Super recent.
Right.
So you think it's a possibility, Michael, that just like any other place in Australia, let's say like the Yowie, that it could have been a type of hominid or primate, and it just got isolated and it became something else?
Yes, Damien. Absolutely. Different answer.
All right, gents. Well,
so
there is lots to expect from this Bigfoot community in 2013. There are going to be, as far as I know that there's 4, possibly 5, I think, television pilots being shot for.
And let's not forget the dozen or so bodies in freezers.
There's at least 3 that we know of, and there's possibly more, possibly dozens. So 2013 is going to be the year of the Bigfoot, at least in the media. It's going to be extremely saturated. We are going to see an influx of hoaxes. We are going to see an influx of newbies bringing in the wrong types of evidence. We're going to have to filter through all kinds of low resolution videos, crappy footprints, all kind. We're going to see tons of this stuff.
Because I was missing the blob squatches. I like, are we missing this none?
The blob squatches, people have really gotten tired of the blob squatches, and I think that's why we've moved on to hoaxes. Full-on hoaxes. I don't know.
Or we convince people to stop putting damn blob squatches out and get some real photos.
We've seen a lot. We saw a surge of Bigfoot at the end of 2012, and we're going to see this surge continue in 2013 simply because of the immediate attention that's coming this way. It's a big deal when you go to CNN.com and you see Bigfoot stories every other week in their weird news section or whatever it is they have. It's a big deal when you go to Yahoo's front page and you see Bigfoot on that front page. It's a big deal when there's 5 television pilots being shot by major cable networks for 2013's television season. This is, I don't know if it's going to continue, but at least for the next year, we're going to see a lot of interesting and most likely crappy things come our way, and we're going to have to filter through all of that. So that's where we're at, and we're going to kick off another season of Extinct here, we have, to tackle all this shit. What do you say, fellas?
Oh, yeah.
Good, man.
Anything to add? Here. Anything that we didn't cover for this 2013 kickoff here?
Well, we do have a couple radio shows, a couple podcast shows that's branching out. I know of about 2.
Well, okay. Well, let's talk real quick. There is a new show that I will be producing coming out very soon. We don't have a name for it yet. We haven't totally locked down.
It's that secret.
If we had a name for it and we had the people locked down for it, we would announce it, but we don't. So as soon as I have that, we're going to announce it. But there is a new show coming up. We're going to try and launch it in the next week or 2. Richter Riolo and Tammy Murray and Nadia Moore have a show, Team Tazer After Hours. As far as I know, Sean, there's no set day that show airs, is there?
No. I think they just have to get people together, and everyone's been busy lately. But I know as soon as Richter is able to get everyone together, that they'll
very
come
cool.
up with the
They've
time
been doing some cool things. They had Cliff Barackman on their last show. They've had.
That was a
awesome it was a very good podcast. They had a great podcast live with our friends, our friend Mr. Justin Smeha in Sacramento, and our good friend Mr. Sean Evidence here from this podcast. They've done some cool things already in a short period of time, and I think that podcast is going to take off as well. I want to thank Tammy Murray. I got yesterday. I'd lost my pendant had fallen off somewhere. I couldn't find it, and yesterday in the mail I got my new pendant. My Sassy Glassy Sasquatch, and I'm going to put that on my leather strap today and start sporting that again. So thank you so much. Everybody interested in getting one of these hipster Sassy Glassy pendants for themselves?
One of a kind.
Yeah,
like snowflakes.
There you go.
Like beautiful little snowflakes, except they're Sasquatch snowflakes. Instead of being made out of snow, they're made out of glass.
Yeah, and Ed Smith has one of these too, by the way. So you might want to get it.
One. Yeah, well, we will. I'm sure we haven't heard the end of Daisy for now, so stay posted to Bigfoot Evidence. We are working on some cool things. We have a store. I kind of dropped the ball. I was trying to launch the store last week, but we have a store. We're going to have some Team Tazer merch. TazerMedia.com is where you can go. It'll bring you to Sean's site. It's got a list of everything that is Tazer. I think we need to add some of Damien's content RSS feed into that.
Yes, we do.
What else, guys? Am I missing anything before we say goodnight?
I'm coming out with a new interview. I'll be out this week.
Okay.
Sometime. So look for it. It's a very interesting interview.
So we got new content from Damien Bravo, new content from myself, new content from Mr. Snowwalker Prime,
Oh, and they should go and watch Zero Lux. Well, I'll get Sean to put it up. They did a special.
It is a television show that had a special guest, Mr. Snowwalker Prime, on their Bigfooting episode. Very cool. I just watched that last week.
Cat and Tony.
Anything else before we say goodnight, folks?
Watch out for us in 2013. We're coming bigger and badder.
Let's put up the logo. We are Team Tazer.
Like killer whales. Orcas.
What's the name of that decal, Michael?